You alright there guys, welcome to another review from Kieran's Movie Space, the podcast where I talk about the latest movies and TV shows. I'm Kieran and this is my spoiler-free review of Netflix's brand new horror series, The Haunting of Hill House. Created by Mike Flanagan, who directed films like Hush and last year's Gerald's Game, The Haunting of Hill House follows a group of siblings who for a short time lived in a haunted house, and even though they're all grown up, the house and its many occupants are still finding a way to ruin their lives. It's no secret that I'm not a very big fan of horror. I didn't watch much of it when I was a kid, and I never really understood the idea of paying for something to scare you. But more recently, I've been trying to watch more horror, and even though I was just terrified watching the trailer for this, I knew it was something that I needed to watch just because the story and the characters and the setting looked so creepy and interesting. So the first season landed on Netflix last week, I started binging on Monday, and I'm here to give you guys my spoiler-free review. As usual, I'll start with what I liked about the season, and the first thing we should talk about is the story, just because when I watch a show like this, the first thing I look for is a compelling and an interesting story. If it doesn't have one, then I really don't care if it scares me or not. Thankfully though, the story that this season follows is one of the most chilling and compelling stories that I've seen in a really long time. I can't really go into any specifics, but I've got to say that this really works like a 10-hour movie. Every episode furthers the story, there's never really a dull episode, and it's really fun to just see how everything unravels. Usually when you've got a show that's consistently jumping between two different time periods, it can be quite difficult to figure out how it all connects. But Mike Flanagan's done a really good job of revealing information at the right time, so you'll think that you know something and you think you'll know where the rest of the season is going, and then it'll connect in a really surprising way and the whole direction of the story will just shift. There were certain moments, and if you've seen the show you'll know what I'm talking about, but there are moments where something massive or mind-blowing is revealed, and it just changes the way that the entire story is being told. And because of the time jumps, we see certain scenes multiple times from a different perspective, so you'll see something in episode 1 for example, and it'll seem completely normal, but then you'll see that same scene in episode 5 but from a different perspective, and it changes the whole way that you see that scene. It's really smart writing and really great storytelling, and it's consistent for the whole 10 episodes. When you've got a show like this which has a large collection of characters and they all have a unique backstory, it can sometimes be difficult to connect with them, but Flanagan really commits to making you understand these characters. We basically spend an entire episode with each sibling just figuring out what happened to them and how it's still affecting them, and because we spend so much time with each character, we really end up caring about every one of them, and because we care about the characters, we're a million times more invested in the story, which means it's just that much easier for them to scare us. And speaking of scaring us, you're probably wondering how scary The Haunting of Hill House really is, and I'm here to tell you that this series has some of the scariest characters, scenes and storylines that I've ever seen. Honestly, I've never been this scared watching a TV show or movie before, and for fans of creepy ghosts, this series has more than a few memorable monsters to talk about. From the ever-terrifying bent neck lady to the really tall floating gentleman with his cane and hat. There are loads of really creepy and genuinely scary characters that will have you scared to roll over at night. It's worth noting as well that you should really pay attention to the background in some scenes, just because there are loads of different ghosts and characters hidden in the background of the house that just help to make even the most normal scenes feel 10 times scarier. The cast is really good as well. I did know some of the cast members from other things, but for the most part I didn't really recognise them. And they're all really great, there's not really a weak link, and as an ensemble they all work together really well. This feels like a real family, they have that intense friction that a lot of families have, and they look like siblings as well. All of the actors look like they could actually be related, and they managed to find younger actors that look exactly like the younger versions of the adult characters. I was really impressed by this cast, both sets of actors. They all delivered some brilliant performances and let us get invested in their characters, which is what every great actor should do. So moving on to some of the issues that I have with the season, there really aren't that many. In fact, the only problem that I could think of was that there were just 1 or 2 episodes that seemed to really slow down. It was the episodes that followed the fantastic 5th and 6th episodes which were the highlight of the season for me. The story seemed to just hit a bit of a slump after those 2 episodes, and I think there were certain moments and sequences that maybe could have been cut down to make it feel a little bit faster. But that's really just a nitpick. Overall, I really enjoyed this season. It terrified me, it made me cry, it made me afraid of the dark again, and I genuinely think it's one of the best shows, if not the best show that I've seen all year. It's definitely the best horror series that I've seen in a really long time, if not ever. I'm really not sure how they'll bring it back if it gets renewed for a second season, but I definitely want to see more stories like this from Netflix and Mike Flanagan. So to give The Haunting of Hill House a score out of 10, I'm going to go for the perfect 10. I think fans of the horror genre are going to absolutely fall in love with this series, and people like me, who usually don't enjoy this kind of thing, will have a lot of fun and probably a few nightmares as well. Alright guys, that's it for my review of The Haunting of Hill House. Have you seen the series yet? Let me know how much it scared you in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share, and if you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit subscribe. I should have my review for Daredevil Season 3 up at some point next week. For now though, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.